Welcome back. In today's class, we are going to learn about malaria, which is a protozoan disease. The causative agent is Plasmodium. There are several species such as Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium malariae, Plasmodium ovale that are involved in causing the disease. This is a mosquito-borne infection that is spread across to the human beings where the pathogen to complete its life cycle, it has to shuttle between the mosquito and the human being. There are various infective forms that are produced by this pathogen itself to cause infection, where few occurs in the mosquito, few occurs in the human host. This was once a life threat. Even now, the symptoms are fatal, but it is curable. To speak a little bit about the life cycle, as I told, to complete its life cycle, it has to pass from the mosquito into the human being and then go back to the mosquito to finish its life cycle. The first infective form that we are going to learn is sporozoids, which is a sexually produced infective form, lancet shaped or spherical shaped, which is unicellular in nature. Synthesized in the midgut of the mosquito, passed to the salivary glands. When the mosquito bites a human being, these sporozoids, which are sexually produced, which is unicellular, lancet shaped, enters the bloodstream. Once it reaches the bloodstream, hence finds its way to reach the hepatic cells, which is the liver cell. Here, these sporozoids, which have reached the hepatic cell, now gets converted to schizoids. This stage is called as exoerythrocytic schizogony, where there is schizogony synthesis and there are no red blood cells that are involved at this phase. That is why it is called as exoerythrocytic schizogony. To comment on the structure of the schizogony, it is quite large, spherical, and multinucleated structure. To speak about the content inside the schizogony, is your schizoid, is your merozoites. There are n number of merozoites that are enclosed within the schizoids. Once the schizoid matures, the schizoid ruptures, whereas all the merozoites that are synthesized inside the schizoids gets liberated inside the bloodstream. Now, these merozoites will find its way to reach the red blood cells. Each merozoite now reaches its way to affect the red blood cells that are there in the bloodstream. That is why the person who's infected with malaria has the hemoglobin deficiency, platelet content less, because the oxygen content transfer is inhibited. The RBC structure has been distorted because of the merozoites. This phase is called as erythrocytic schizogony, where erythrocytic means red blood cells, where erythrocytic schizogony happens is also called as simply called as blood stage, where the blood cells are being infected. Now we have about 20,000 to 40,000 merozoites produced within the human host. These merozoites has two fate to undergo, either of it. Few of the merozoites gets back to schizoids, as in they many merozoites come together and they develop as a schizogony again to produce more and more merozoites, where few of them become gametocytes, which are the first stage to provoke the sexual reproduction. The first fate of a merozoite is to become a schizogony back. Another fate of your merozoites is to become gametes. These gametes are synthesized inside the human host. Now, when the mosquito bites the human, it not just liberates the sporozoites, also takes away these gametes that are produced in the human host. These gametes undergo fertilization in the mosquito. Zygote is formed, oocynates are formed, oocysts are formed. Then that is the process where the sporozoites are produced. As an end product of this sexual reproduction, sporozoites are produced. That is why we mentioned sporozoites are sexually produced infective form of this pathogen. So these sporozoites are produced in the midgut, as I told you. Once it matures, goes to the salivary gland, and when the mosquito bites a fresh human being, and then the pathogenesis continues, or the life cycle continues. To have a quick run through, as the mosquito produces sporozoites in its midgut, travels to the salivary gland. When the mosquito bites, these sporozoites are liberated inside the bloodstream. These sporozoites reach the hepatic cells, where the sporozoites gets converted to schizogony. This is called as exoerythrocytic schizogony, where schizoins are produced, where it has many numerous merozoites enclosed within them. Once as they mature, these merozoites are liberated inside the bloodstream. Then comes the blood stage, or erythrocytic schizogony stage, where red blood cells are distorted. The fate of the merozoites, where few become schizogony back to produce more and more merozoites, few become gametes. These gametes are produced where male gamete is a microgamete, female gamete is a macrogamete. uh, when the mosquito bites, it takes away these gametocytes, undergoes fertilization inside the mosquito, where oocysts are formed, which where the end product of the sexual reproduction is your sporozoites. So this is all about the life cycle of the malarial parasite or malarial pathogen, which undergoes or completes its life cycle between the human host. So this clearly depicts the fate of the pathogen. First, sporozoites are produced, becomes schizoids, where it has numerous merozoites within it. Once it ruptures, these merozoites are liberated inside the bloodstream. They attack the blood cells. That is called as erythrocytic stage. This is called as exoerythrocytic stage, where these merozoites that are produced now has two fates. One, it either becomes a schizogony back, or it becomes a gamete. Now, this gametes that are readily available inside the human host, when the mosquito bites, takes away these gametes within it, fertilization happens inside the mosquito, then these mosquito are believed to produce a sexually produced end product called as sporozoites, which now passes on to the salivary gland, and the cycle continues. So this is specially done by the female anopheles mosquito, which has the capability to support this life cycle. To quickly give you a clinical manifestation of this disease, there are various stages that are involved, such as the cold stage, hot stage, or the sweating stage, how the body responds after the incubation period. 16 to 1 hour is your cold stage, where the patient feels cold, shivering, and but then after 2 to 6 hours, there is this hot stage, where the fever is at high temperature, which is supported by nausea or vomiting or headache. But after that, there is something called as a sweating stage, or the sweat stage, where the patient sweats rapidly and the temperature drops. Apart from that, there are many more symptoms which are deadly witnessed by the patients, such as your muscle cramps, becoming anemic, diarrhea, convulsions, or bloody stools, or profuse sweating, and weight loss is seen. Apart from this, when the symptoms become more severe, can also reach to coma. There are many laboratory methodologies that are used to detect the disease, such as GIMSA staining, or rapid antigen capture dipstick test, or any sort of assay methodologies to enumerate the antibodies produced respective to this disease, or PCR is involved. There are quite a all these queen antibodies are with respective to malaria is what is believed always. Chloroquine, or primaquine, or mefloquine, or quinine, or quinidine, or your deoxycycline are the mostly commonly prescribed medicines. To how to prevent this disease, how to keep this disease in control, is to avoid the stagnant water in the environment, fixing the mesh to the mosquito mesh to the windows and doors, keeping the environment hygiene, proper waste disposal. All this can act as control measures to prevent this disease. As always believed, prevention is better than curing. Let's stay safe. Thank you.